Hi guys, good morning. Welcome to my live all about snarky, passive-aggressive comments about your diet. This is really common around the holidays, but many of you have probably been fielding a lot of these questions, when you're at a birthday party, if you're out to eat with some friends, if you're even at a barbecue, but around the holiday, these comments get really common. These passive-aggressive, snarky comments about whatever diet you're on that people just don't understand or they're judgy, and it instantly puts you on the defense, and it makes just doing your thing freaking miserable a lot of the time. So some of the comments might be along the lines of, as simple as, how's your diet going? Or depending on the tone, like, how's your diet going? As you're eating a cookie or something. Or, they have an idea of kind of what you're doing and you get the like, oh, I could never do that. That sounds really complicated. I don't know how you do that. Or I don't understand why you have to do all that. Fasting always works for me. Or you get people just throwing their diet advice on you because they know that's something that you're doing, even though you never asked for it. Have you tried this? Have you tried this? Oh, you eat gluten? I cut out gluten and I dropped 15 pounds. You should try that. And you really just want to shove them in the face, just punch them. Good for you. Are you seeing progress? Why can't you just eat a cookie? Is it that big of a deal? One night, all these comments, they can just make you want to rip your face off because they are so annoying. But something that you really need to understand is whether the comment is meant to be snarky and judgy or not. If it is truly an innocent, oh, are you sure you just can't have one single cookie? Even if they really just have well intentions, you're instantly going to feel defensive. You're going to feel like you have got to defend your stance. It is like your honor is on the line. And what you need to remember is you have to defend your diet choices to no one. You have to convince no one that what you're doing works for you, and you have to convince no one that what they're doing is wrong. You're not right, they're not right, you're not wrong, they're not wrong. It is a very fluid concept. So what might be right and correct for you could be wrong for them. And what they're doing that wouldn't be right for you is totally right for them. So don't feel like you need to convince anyone to bat for the team that you're batting for if it's working. So if someone is like, oh, wow, getting all a little snarky, you don't have to convince little snarky pants that what you're doing is the best thing ever. Because if she's being Miss Snarky Pants, she's probably not going to be very receptive. So instead of going on the defense and feeling like you need to try and convince someone that you're right, as soon as you get defensive about it, it's going to get weird and awkward, and nothing you say is going to be well received, and they're going to get more and more passive aggressive, snarky, and judgy. So to mitigate snarky comment turning into a terrible situation, you have two ways that you can navigate it. Two choices. Number one, you can choose to engage in a conversation about this, not defending your stance, not convincing someone that your way is the best way and the only way and you're super duper right, but just engaging in a conversation. You can do that. Or two, you can decide you do not want to engage and have that conversation. So you acknowledge the comment and then you just defer engagement and change the subject. So let's say you decide to engage. How's your diet going? It sounds really complicated. Instantly you're going to be like, fuck you, go away. That's really what most of us want to say. Been there. So instead of, if let's say you're tracking macros, instead of trying to explain there are 3 macronutrients and I track my macros and I use an app, the way you explain it can sound wildly complicated and overwhelming. Those of us who, my earrings are just doing a little dangly thing. Sorry, I'm just enjoying this. But the way you describe it can make it seem like a lot. Those of us using it know it's really not, but you have to, someone knows nothing about it, trying to explain it to them is a challenge. So if someone's genuinely like, what are you doing? I'm having trouble understanding. If it is genuinely going to be a good conversation and you'd love to engage, normalize it. Compare macro tracking to Weight Watchers. If you compare what you're doing to something that someone has heard of, it instantly gets more understandable, less scary, so less need to be judgy and snarky. So if you're like, it's kind of like Weight Watchers, they use a point system, I just count things a little bit differently. You know what? It's the first time I really feel good about it, and it makes sense and it works for me. Thanks for asking. If you want to have a conversation, have a conversation. You are not on the chopping block. You are not sworn in on the witness stand trying to convince anyone that your side of the story is the best one. You're just answering a question. So compare it to something that people understand. Using their language is going to kind of make them not feel so like, what are you doing? That's kind of weird. Or that's if you want to engage. Have a conversation, answer questions, be open to saying like, I know it sounds kind of crazy at first, I thought so too. And just have a conversation, not trying to get defensive and you get all snarky back. How many times have I already said snarky? Anyway, if you decide it is someone that you do not want to have this conversation with, you do not want to engage, like no matter what you say, you're going to be wrong. They're going to be right because they know like how to diet and they're like always just like, I eat like clean and like vegan and like all the things, and you just cannot handle the conversation with them. You don't want to, or maybe it's your aunt that, you know, just knows the 1200 calorie thing works, even though she's never really had success on a diet, but somehow she knows that it works for her. Like keto's totally what's definitely going to work for her, but she's never actually lost weight. Whatever. We all have a relative, someone that we know, maybe it's a coworker, whatever, who thinks their way is the best way and they're judgy McJudgerson on whatever you're doing, and they get that like, oh, how's the cookie? How's your diet going? Are you seeing progress? And you're just like, go away. Instead of getting defensive or things like that, you can decide to acknowledge the fact that they said something and then change the subject. So something you could try would be, let's say, okay, if you're eating a cookie and they're being like, how's that? Oh, I cut out sugar. How is it? But it's good. I cut it out. It doesn't sit well with me. You can say, yeah, like, good for you. I'm so glad you found something that worked for you. That's definitely not something that I don't think I could do long term. I found something a little bit different that seems to kind of meet my needs a little bit more. So thanks for asking. What are you getting the kids for Christmas? Acknowledge the fact that a comment was made. Acknowledge it. If you ignore it or you get judgy back, it kind of closes the door to having a conversation or having any conversation even unrelated without this being like this underlying tension. So be like, yeah, I know it sounds kind of crazy. You know, it's not for everybody, but I'm new to it. It works for me. And that's great that you found something that works for you. Can you believe the weather we're having? Anything. Just acknowledge it. Like, you got something that works for you. That's great. Whether they do keto, paleo, Whole30, intermittent fasting, juice cleanse, diarrhea tea, I walk all the time, I don't sleep, whatever diet someone is going to pull out from underneath a rock and say it works for them, even if you think they are mentally insane and it doesn't make any sense, you don't need to prove them wrong. That's okay. They'll figure it out all by themselves eventually. They just need to ride the wave. So don't try and prove them wrong. Don't try and say that you're right. Just acknowledge that the comment was made. Like, yeah, that's great. I'm so glad you're finding something that works for you. That's fantastic. Are you guys doing any trips once it's safe to travel again? Gosh, what trips of yours got canceled this year? We were supposed to go somewhere. Just acknowledge and kind of deflect and to take the conversation a different direction. The last thing you need to do is try and convince anyone that you are right or that they are wrong, you're superior, they're inferior, or try and, if someone genuinely just wants to kind of understand, talk about it like it's Weight Watchers or just counting calories, things like that. Or, oh, wow, you can eat pie or whatever. It's just like, you know what? I actually found a method of eating that I can include things that sound really good and I'm enjoying it. Thanks for asking. Or the food pushers, you know, oh, what, can't you just have a cookie? Can't you just have a slice of pie? Can't you just one more drink? And sometimes it's coming like good-hearted, like, oh, you're looking kind of skinny. Can I get you an extra pie? As your aunt like grabs your face or whatever. Sometimes you're just like, oh, thanks so much. Yeah, it sounds delicious, but you know, I've worked really hard to kind of get a better relationship with just eating when I'm actually hungry, and I feel good about it. So I'm going to pass, but thank you so much. Not everyone is trying to sabotage you. A lot of times the comments that make you get really defensive, myself included, I've been there, genuinely are not judging you. It's coming from a place of just not understanding or just trying to get you to eat a slice of pie because they made it and they're super proud of it. So instead of getting all mad and huffy at them, like, go away. It's like, oh, I know, that looks delicious. You know, I'm just not that hungry right now. That looks great. Once I'm hungry, that a slice has my name on it, so make sure you save one for me. Whatever. Just acknowledge the fact that they are offering something nice, and even if you say no, you can say like, you know what, I've been working on some things and I feel really good about it. So thanks so much for the offer. Maybe later. I had a client in her check-in yesterday. It was interesting. She was like, you know what? I felt better than I have in a long time on Thanksgiving, just listening to my hunger cues, not overstuffing or overfeeding myself just because it was all there. And I didn't even have pie on Thanksgiving. And she's like, you know what? I didn't feel restricted. And I had it the next day and I enjoyed it because I was hungry. That's a great thing. You don't have to eat it just because it's there or because it's normal or because someone wants you to eat it. You're an adult, most of you. You're allowed to make your own decisions without having to defend them or convince someone that it's the right decision, because it might not be the right decision for them. You don't know. So that's what I wanted to cover is don't hit snarky passive aggressive with snarky passive aggressive. They're not going to end well for anyone involved. So starting to wrap this up, guys. I know this was kind of short and sweet today. If you had really specific questions about snarky comments you get, this would be the opportune moment to start typing them in. If you guys have any that you want me to field live, but in general, just no matter what, acknowledge that a comment was made. If you feel like they are genuinely just not understanding and want to know, coming from a good place, explain it in words that they know. You don't have to say macronutrients if you're tracking macros, and you don't have to say I log this in an app or whatever, but you know, I keep track of what I eat, trying to get, you know, a good bit of protein in, making sure I can factor in some sweets, and you know, it's totally working for me. Thanks for asking. Make it sound normal and approachable so it doesn't sound so scary. Sometimes you start getting these judgy, snarky comments because people just truly don't understand what you're doing, or if it is someone that is not going to be receptive at all, and you know that, stop wasting your energy trying to convince them that what you're doing is right, they're wrong, whatever. So you know what? I'm super glad you found something that worked for you. I found something that worked for me. The end. That's okay. So put down your weapons. You don't have to defend your honor. Just have a conversation, and you'd be surprised how much smoother these holidays go. So that's all I really had for you guys today. I don't see any specific questions coming in. If you think of any later, if you came in late and want to ask me a little bit later, make sure you go ahead and just drop a comment below or shoot me a DM. I'm here to help you in any way I can. I do this for a living, but first I had to be on your side of things. I have fielded the snarky comments while on a diet. I have tried to defend my honor and it never went well. I've lived it. So I've been in your shoes. I'm here to help you in any way I can. You're allowed to enjoy the holidays, and I'm here to help you. So have a great day, you guys. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you later. Bye. Where's the end button now? It moved. Oh no. We're going to press this button. Bye. Oh God.